everybody and welcome back to the Blossom Crochet channel. If this is your first time visiting, then make sure that you click that subscribe button now and also click on the bell icon and click to receive all notifications so that you never miss when I upload a new crochet video. So in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to crochet this absolutely beautiful lacy stitch. So it's ideal for more open, lightweight blankets, but also it would make really beautiful scarves and also maybe even a long rectangular shawl as well. So you can see it's a really nice and open lacy stitch. It's really simple. It's just a 2-row repeat and you get this gorgeous effect at the end of it. It really is very beautiful. So it's made up just using iris stitches and V-stitches, so it's using trebles through the whole entirety of the project and chain spaces, and I think it gives a really beautiful finished result. So for this sample tutorial I'm going to be using the King Cole Beaches DK, and this is the shade Beaches and Cream. So I will be using the recommended 4mm hook size, so just use whatever size hook your chosen yarn recommends. So you don't need a specific size for this, just whatever your yarn recommends. So you want to complete your foundation chain in multiples of 8. So yarn over, pull through. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that is so that we can get the iris stitch and V-stitch multiples. So foundation chain in a multiple of 8, and I will meet you once you've done that. So once you've got your multiple of 8, you just want to add an additional chain to the end. So you're then going to work into the 6th chain from the hook, so you never count the loop that is on your hook. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and that just gives us skipped chains at the beginning to count as a treble, and also 3 skipped chains, which is what you will repeat throughout the row as it is. So skip 5, so you're going into your 6, so into the 6th chain you will put a V-stitch. So this isn't a regular V-stitch because a normal V-stitch only has 1 chain, but in this V-stitch your V-stitches will always have 2 chains. So you will do treble. So remember, I'm working in UK terms. In the US all of these trebles will be double crochet. So yarn over into the 6th chain, yarn over and pull up, and you'll have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. You then want to chain 2. Like I say, it's slightly different to a normal V-stitch. And then back in that same chain you'll put another treble. So yarn over, back in that same chain, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. You'll then skip 3 chains, so you'll skip 1, 2, 3, and into the 4th you will do an iris stitch. So an iris stitch is 2 trebles, chain 1, 2 trebles, all in the same space. So again, yarn over, skip 3 chains, and then into that chain you will do a treble, and then another treble, chain 1, and then back in that same chain 2 more trebles. That's 1 and 2. And then again you'll skip 3, and then into the 4th you will swap back to your V-stitch. So treble, chain 2 and treble. Okay, so your V-stitches will have chain 2s, your iris stitches will only have a chain 1. And that is because in the V-stitches on the next row you'll be putting more stitches than you will be putting into the chain space of your iris stitch. So you'll just repeat that all the way along now. So now we're ready to skip 3 and then iris stitch into the 4th. So 2 trebles, chain 1 because it's an iris stitch, and 2 trebles back in that same chain. Okay, so if you just complete that all the way along, and I will meet you as you get towards the end. Okay, so I'm just getting to the end now. You should have a V-stitch at the start and a V-stitch at the end, and then you will have a couple of chains left, and you are just going to put a treble on its own into that very last chain. You then want to turn your work, and then you can either chain 2 for turning, or you can do the stitch that I'm about to do. So I've turned and I'm going to insert my hook straight into the top of that stitch, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through 2, and then this stitch has got 2 vertical sections to it. I'm going to go behind, vertical, yarn over and pull up, and yarn over, pull through both, and that just gives you a treble height stitch but without the gapping or the flimsiness that you would get with a chain. So now we're going to do the opposite of what we've got. So in the middle of your V-stitches you'll put an iris stitch, and in the middle of your iris stitch you'll put a V-stitch. So straight into this chain 2 of your V-stitch you will put an iris stitch. So 2 trebles, chain 1, remember, because it's an iris stitch, and then 2 trebles back in that chain 2 space. And then into the chain 1 of your iris stitch you'll do a new V-stitch, so chain 2, remember, for your V-stitch. So you can see we've worked the opposite of what we had on the row below. And then again, chain 2 space on your V-stitch here, oops, you will do a new iris stitch. Chain 1 to complete the iris stitch. And then again, V-stitch in the chain 1. Make sure you do your 2 chains for your V-stitch. And you'll just continue that all the way along until you get to the other end, which is where I will meet you in just a second. So you should be finishing with an iris stitch in that final chain 2 of the V-stitch from the row below. So again, you should be starting and finishing with the same thing. So you should start with your iris and finish with your iris. And then you just want to do a treble on its own into the end stitches here. So you've got the top of your final treble just here, but you don't want to work into that one. You want to work into the chain next to it. So not the top of the treble, but into the next chain, and just complete with a treble. Okay, so that's row 1 of your pattern repeat, and this next row now will be row 2. So you want to turn your work. As I say again, you can either chain 2 or you can do the stitch that I'm doing. So I'll insert my hook straight into that first stitch, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through both, and then behind the vertical post of the stitch, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through 2. And so we're switching back again now, so you want to do the opposite of what you've got from the row below. So we're going to start with a V-stitch this time into the chain 1 of the iris stitch. Chain 2 and final treble of my V-stitch. And then in your V-stitch, chain 2 space, you will put your iris stitch. So it's not a single row repeat, however, it is really, really simple. I think the hardest part to remember is making sure you do a chain 2 for your V-stitch, but only a chain 1 for your iris stitch, because I do keep forgetting that. So if you just repeat that again all the way along, and I will meet you as you get to the other end in just a second. So again, you should be finishing the row with exactly what you've started with. So on this row you'll be finishing and starting with a V-stitch. And then again, you're going to skip the top of these final 2 trebles and into the top of that treble height stitch that we did in the very beginning. So skip those 2, and into the top of that stitch you'll finish with a treble. So those are the 2 rows that you will need to repeat over and over again until your project is the size that you want it to be. So you can obviously pause, rewind those 2 rows as often as you need to. But that is it for this tutorial. I really hope that you've enjoyed it, and do remember to give the video a thumbs up, and I'll see you again for another video really, really soon. But thanks as always for watching, and bye for now.